Alright guys, Raw Wrestler here, and tonight, shockingly, I'm back. I know it's been ages since I did a video, but I really felt like I almost couldn't miss out reviewing this show. Of course, tonight it was the first half of WrestleMania 36. Now, I want to go into this as bright-eyed as possible. We're in a tough situation at the minute, and WWE have tried here to give us a pay-per-view, tried to give us some build with relevant matches, and people have come in and they've done stuff, so I would like to try and go into this decently bright-eyed. There's just a disclosure before I go into the review. Another thing I'll probably say before we start is, obviously it's been ages since I did a video. I think it was Survivor Series I reviewed last, which was like November. A lot has changed in my life. This room has changed. There's loads of stuff in this room that I could show you at a later date, maybe at the minute while I'm in this predicament. I could put up a couple of videos showing you some things in this room. Let me know if you think that's a good idea. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start reviewing WrestleMania 36 Part 1. The opening match of the show was the WWE Women's Tag Team title match that pitted the champions, the Kabuki Warriors, against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I don't know what their team name is. I can't imagine it's any good. I thought this was actually, and it surprised me, I thought this was one of the best matches on the show. Of course, empty arena matches are hard to do, and the last couple of weeks of television have really proved that. I found that AEW a couple of times have had really good matches. I think this week the tag team match and the Kenny Omega Trent match were both very good, because they had stories to them. And the thing you will find with empty arena matches is there's no point in doing poppy spot moments. It doesn't work in this sort of environment. And these women did that a couple of times with double downs and stuff like that. But outside of that, I genuinely thought these women tried really hard to put on what, in my opinion, overseeded my expectations. Alexa Bliss, to me, has never been a great worker. Nikki Cross is okay. And then Asuka and Kairi Sane are clearly great, and they deserve a lot of praise for this how this match came out. But these women worked very well. The first part was Nikki Cross being the babyface in peril. They changed it up later on to have Alexa Bliss be the babyface in peril. In my eyes, Alexa Bliss of the pair should be the babyface in peril. She's smaller. She looks like she should be a babyface in peril. Nikki Cross has got more fire. She's got a far more impressive and interesting moveset. That's just a little side note. There was some really cool moments in this matchup that made me wish this match was in front of a crowd. And that was shocking to me. I honestly went into this matchup not caring. Then we just get rid of the pop-up. It's gone. I went into this matchup not caring about it, and I think these four women did a very good job of bringing me into it and entertaining me for the 16 minutes, which was a little bit long. I felt like its peak. It actually hit its peak and rode past it a little bit. There was a fantastic spot during the middle of the match where Nikki Cross hit the Purge on Asuka. Kairi Sane went up top, hit an insane elbow on Nikki, but Nikki kicked out. Then we had kind of the same spot, but for the other team, where Asuka was pinning Nikki Cross. Alexa hit a Twisted Bliss off the top rope onto Asuka, then got straight up, but then got hit with the interceptor by Kairi Sane. Really, really good spot. That was like the match's peak. There was other things as well in this match. Alexa, of course, did the insult to injury. Asuka went for the Asuka lock several times. Kairi did the sliding D in the corner. The finish came when basically it kind of just happened as a finish. Kairi got sent to the outside. I think it was Asuka who got sent to the outside. Asuka got sent to the outside. I haven't even mentioned the pre-show match. Totally forgot it, but I'll get to that in a second. Asuka got sent to the outside. Nikki Cross just sort of hit the Purge. Alexa was up top. She hit the Twisted Bliss. 1, 2, 3. Alexa and Nikki are the new tag team champions. I thought this was pretty good. I thought this was a pretty good little matchup in front of a crowd. I thought this would have been very good. Could trim a couple of minutes and try and catch it at its peak, I think this would have been a great match. But I'm going to give it 3.25 stars. I want to be a little bit apprehensive. Slightly generous as well, because it is tough with no crowd to get a very good match. And I think these women did a very good job. Alexa and Nikki are the new tag team champions. I thought this was a pretty good little opener to the show. Next up, we halted any sort of momentum or progression we had with Elias versus King Corbin. This was a 9-minute match that slogged and was slow and was cumbersome, and it really exposed both men. And at a normal WrestleMania, this match would not have been on the card. Absolutely not. I don't think the tag match before this would have been on the card. I think it probably would have been on the pre-show, or they would have turned it into a massive multi-woman match with another team, maybe Fire and Desire or something like that. But this match here stuck out to me like a sore thumb. Every other match on this card, really, outside of the opener, you could argue had a WrestleMania place. And 16 matches across 2 shows is tough, and it is better than doing a 16 across 1 show. But this one here, it was slow, it was cumbersome. These 2 men have very boring movesets, and Elias came out before. It was amazing. It was breathtakingly poor psychology as well. And I'm someone who appreciates wrestling's kind of roots and appreciates selling and stuff like that, and when things mean something. And Corbin comes out and he tells the referee to ring the bell and to say Elias forfeits, but Elias' music hits and he comes down to the ring. This was, of course, after he got pushed off the balcony. He comes down to the ring, he ducks Corbin's clothesline, and he hits him in the back with a guitar. The guitar shot was like a finish 10 years ago. Like, not even 20 years ago, even. Like, Jeff Jarrett was using a guitar shot as a finish in TNA 10 years ago. It just baffled me. So he threw Corbin into the ring, and Elias, the babyface, worked a lot of this match. Corbin eventually got back with that clothesline where he goes under the bottom rope and comes back in and gives a big lariat, which was, Corbin. Hit a deep 6. Elias hit a rolling cutter. He also hit that swinging neckbreaker thing, which is basically shake, rattle, and roll. He kept going for the elbow, kept missing. Corbin tried using the ropes to win. The referee said no. Elias just schoolboyed him, held the tights, got the 1, 2, 3. This was boring. I'm going to give it 2 stars. It would have been boring in front of a crowd. It was boring with no crowd. 2 stars. It was boring. It wasn't bad. It was just boring. Like, it's just not a match you want to watch. Third match on the show, the Raw Women's Championship match. Couldn't believe this was third on the show. I thought this would main event, to be honest. I thought this was going to be... It just felt really weird that this match was so early, and then the match happened and I kind of understood why. This match went 8 minutes and something like 52 seconds. And if you saw that and then just saw the match, didn't know the outcome, you would think that looks about right for the build you've got going here. But everything in the match was working to a certain point to give you the impression it was going in a certain direction, and then it gave you another direction. And swerves for the sake of swerves are pointless. Like, they are only there for shock value. There's no one in the building to be shocked, so it doesn't come off very well. So this match was worked at a decent pace for 8 minutes and 52 seconds. I don't think Becky or Shayna did anything particularly wrong. Shayna did destroy Becky for most of this matchup. Becky got a couple of moments where she got control. She did a pump handle slam on the apron. I believe she kept going for the disarmer at points, but Baszler controlled Becky. She hit that Stormbreaker, Will Ospreay's Stormbreaker, but a really terrible looking version. She hit that, she tried to cover, Becky kicked out, and later on she hit the big knee, she tried to cover, Becky kicked out. She kept trying to cure through the clutch. She eventually locked it in, and properly locked it in, and Becky did the old rollback, and there was a 1, there was a 2, there was a 3, and I just was almost bewildered that was the finish. It didn't almost seem like a WrestleMania finish. This match was the feud was really well built. I didn't need the biting or the blood or anything like that. But the feud was genuinely well built, and it was going to, I imagine, lead to a conclusive finish. And instead, we got a 9-minute match, which you can have a great 9-minute match. It's just very hard when you've got a feud with a story going on, and Shayna Baszler is better maybe in matches about this length because it gives her time to really dominate and show her prowess. But to have a 9-minute match and have Baszler dominate it and then just get beat and have no post-match interaction with Becky, Baszler just sat in the corner. She didn't cry, but she was physically upset, and then she just walked up the ramp as Becky celebrated. It was a very weird way to close the match and a very weird ending to that segment of the show. It wasn't bad. It certainly wasn't bad, but I can only give it like 3 stars. It was good, I can say that. The actual wrestling was good. I thought the women, at times, it seemed decent for drama, but then the finish happened and it took the wind out of me. I know a couple of people I was talking to during the show, it took the wind out of them. It's not even that Becky won, it's the manner in how she won. And as far as booking goes, I'm going to talk about that for the next few matches anyway. But 3 stars, I thought it was good. Not WrestleMania worthy, but still good. Better than the previous match, at least. The 4th match on the show, and this was Daniel Bryan against Sami Zayn for the IC title. And again, this is one of those matches, kind of like Becky and Baszler, that you'd look at on paper and think this should be very good. These are 2 very talented athletes, 2 very talented wrestlers that should have a very good match. This match went 9 minutes. This match went a little bit longer than the Rollins title match. And in 9 minutes, you'd think, again, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan should have a very good matchup as long as the booking's fine, as long as there's not too many issues, but it's been edited, so it shouldn't matter. And these guys, it was going decently well. So at the beginning, Sami was stalling, he was running out of the ring, and he was using Cesaro and Nakamura as bait, and then Drew Gulak took the pair of them out, and Bryan finally got his hands on Sami. And Bryan went to town on Sami, he locked his head, he was punching him, he gave him the running drop kick, he gave him the yes kicks. It was all good stuff. And it was good for Sami to get some comeuppance. And Sami did a little fight back, he hit an elbow while he was getting in the ring, and then he gave Bryan a big lariat, but Bryan immediately got back in the match. And I should mention as well that before on the pre-show, Drew Gulak and Cesaro had a match, which Cesaro won. I didn't watch it. I can't tell you if it was any good. I'd imagine it was pretty good. Cesaro and Drew Gulak are talented guys. So, Daniel Bryan took control back from Zayn. Zayn hit, as I said, an elbow and a lariat, and I think that was pretty much it. And then Bryan hit the yes kicks, hit the big head yes kick, which he never hits. Everyone ducks that. And then he went into the corner, and Drew Gulak starts doing the yes chant, which is good, because, we need physical metaphors for what's going to happen. And I was like, right, if Daniel Bryan wins here with the knee, then it's a good story. It's not a great match, but it's a good story. It's a fine ending to the story. Short title reigns are never really my thing, but sometimes if they serve a purpose, so for this case it'd be to get Daniel Bryan the belt and to kind of start his journey as the IC champion, having matches with Cesaro, Nakamura, eventually Gulak. That's a good idea. So he's doing the yes stuff. Gulak on the outside gets taken out by Nakamura and Cesaro. Daniel Bryan suicide dives. He gives the pair of them a tope. He goes up to the top rope. He leaps off the top rope. Sami catches him with a haluva kick. So it's not really a haluva kick. It's just a big boot. When it's not in the corner, it's not really a haluva kick. But as soon as they called it a haluva kick, I knew what was going to happen. Sami covers Bryan. 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn retains the IC title. Okay. So Sami Zayn hit 3 moves. I think it was 4. I can't remember what the other one was, but he hit 4 moves and he pinned Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan looks like a geek. I discussed this with one of my friends. I think Daniel Bryan looks like a geek. He dominated this match. He could have had it won at several occasions, and he didn't. And that's the point. He lost in the end. He hit 2,500 moves, couldn't win. The heel, who's supposed to be a coward, hit 4 moves and won. And that is the story that we've been told, and that is the story we've been shown, and that story is crap. That is a terrible way to present Bryan. Yes, he got caught, you could argue. The argument is that he got caught, he's unlucky. But when you present your babyface as unlucky, especially in this scenario, and you present the heel as lucky, it almost works against them. The heel should outsmart the babyface by using tactics, never luck. Because if you have a lucky champion, then it devalues the title and it devalues the reign, I think, to be honest. Unless you kind of... I'm really looking into this too much, but unless you delve into why him holding that belt is lucky, then it'd be fine. But it's not. Sami Zayn is presented as a world-class athlete, and for him to be lucky, it makes no sense. I thought this match was going fine. Then the finish happened. That, arguably, to me, was the worst booking of the show. As far as rating it, I don't want to give it more than 2.5 stars. Nothing in it was bad, except the finish. But nothing in it was particularly good either. 2.5 stars to Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn. A Daniel Bryan Wrestlemania match gets less than 3 stars in my eyes, which is shocking because, you know, how many has it had? Probably 7 or 8, and probably the worst WrestleMania match he's had, except the 18-second one and the WrestleMania 27 one. Maybe he actually hasn't had that many good WrestleMania matches, never mind. 5th match on the show, I believe, was... oh god, what was after? Oh, it was the best match on the show, probably. It was the Triple Threat ladder match, so it was a member of each tag team that was going to be in the original ladder match, which of course couldn't happen because the Miz had to go home and go into isolation with his family. Completely fine. This is just a side note. People getting on at these wrestlers for isolating or self-isolating with their families and ruining their WrestleMania show. Grow up. Like, that's lives are more important than a wrestling show. Just a small side note, because I've seen a lot of buzz about Roman Reigns specifically, and I think it's just because he's Roman Reigns, not because of what he's done, but honestly, grow up. But yeah, so we had a man representing each tag team. We had Jimmy Uso, we had Kofi Kingston, and we had John Morrison, and they were in a triple threat ladder match for the SmackDown tag team titles. I'm going to give these 3 men a lot of credit because they died to have a good match, and they had a great match in my eyes, to be honest. But I would not have done this. Look, again, I'm going to give them credit where it's due. They are not performing in front of a crowd. They are technically performing in front of a crowd because there is 1.1 million people, or however many people are subscribed to the network these days. But, you know, they're not performing in front of a crowd live. So these spots they're doing are not going to get a reaction out of anyone except Michael Cole. Or whoever was, I think it was Cole. Yeah, I'm going to say it was Cole on commentary. Yeah, I think so. But regardless, these guys had a great match, and credit to all 3 of them because it's probably the best singles match Jimmy Uso's ever going to have because he won't have a lot. Kofi, one of his best singles matches, and John Morrison's probably one of his best matches in the company. Morrison did a fantastic Starship Pain spot where he stood on the the stand behind the ring post. Basically the ring post. He stood on the ring post, did a Starship Pain in the air onto Jimmy Uso while he was laying on a ladder that had been laid on the ropes. It was amazing, so cool. Then Kofi did a springboard Hurricane Rana to Jimmy Uso while he was standing on the ladder, while Jimmy Uso was standing on the ladder. Unbelievable. That was amazing. Then we had a spot where Jimmy Uso pushed a ladder into John Morrison, and it fell between him, so he was in the middle of it. And John Morrison just poked him in the eye and like threw the ladder at him again. It's great. These guys killed each other. John Morrison did a C4, a Spanish fly onto Kofi Kingston, and then Jimmy Uso came in with a massive splash. They did some stuff on the outside. Jimmy Uso bridged a ladder on the ropes and between another ladder. He threw Kofi Kingston into it. John Morrison leaped over the ladder, like he rolled across it, and then he leaped on it and then jumped, and then Jimmy Uso super kicked him in the face. That was awesome as well. These guys really tried hard to have a great match, and they did succeed in the end. And if this match was in front of a crowd, I think this would have been one of the best matches WWE will probably have all year. Like, it was great, and I don't want to harp on it too much. I want to give them loads of credit for it. The finish came when Jimmy and Kofi, and so I forgot to say that bit. The biggest spot to me that kind of pushed me towards saying, why are you doing this in front of an empty arena, was Jimmy got pushed. There was a ladder in the ring that is obviously taller than the top rope. Jimmy was on top of it, and he got pushed off the ladder to the outside to the floor. And I'm just thinking, that's like a 15-foot drop. Like, your shoulders or back, that was the worst spot of the night, to be honest. The finish came, sorry, I forgot to say, when Kofi and John Morrison and Jimmy Uso were all on ladders, and they all had hold of the kind of the buckle thing that kind of holds the belts on. So the belts are strapped around the hanging mechanism thing, and they pulled that off. They all pulled that off, so they were all holding a bit of it, and they were all like basically having a tug of war. So what happened was Kofi and Jimmy Uso headbutted at the same time John Morrison, who had hold of the SmackDown Tag Titles by the straps. So as he fell onto a bridged ladder, and I think one of the belts hit him in the face, and pulled the belts with him. So John Morrison and The Miz retained the SmackDown Live Tag Titles. I've never seen that finish before, so it's creative, but it is a cheap finish. It's a bit lame and a bit flat. And in a arena full of fans, it would have 100% been lame and flat. It's unique, absolutely, but it's a bit flat, as I said 3 times now. I thought the finish they were going to go for was one man takes one belt, one man takes the other, and then maybe Jimmy and Kofi become tag champs or something like that, because I've never seen that finish before. It's a finish I've always wanted to see. I thought it was going to happen there. But no, we got this finish. John Morrison, The Miz retained. I thought this match was great. I'm not going to give it over 4 stars. I'm going to give it 4 stars. Great, it to me, is 4 stars. And 4 stars is what it's going to get. Great match. Best thing on the show so far. Then we had a match that, again, the booking of the last 3 matches to me is what's harmed them. So, well, only the finish of the ladder match, to be honest. If the finish of the ladder match was a bit different, I'd probably give it 4.25. But Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, again, they're great wrestlers. The pair of them are great workers. They're 2 of the best guys in the company. Just give them 15 minutes or however long they got, and they'd probably have a great match. And they tried very hard for about 12 minutes to have a great match, and they were doing very, very well. They were doing kick-outs with a big pop-up powerbomb. Seth hit a bunch of super kicks. Owens hit a swanton bomb for a near fall, and Rollins hit a massive knee. Rollins was great in this match. I think the pair of them were very, very good in this match. And then Rollins, that should be their tag team. Owens hit the pop-up powerbomb into the sit-out, and he went out the ring with Rollins. Rollins hit him with a ring bell and got DQ'd. And at the beginning, when I first saw this, I was going to type to my friend, so they have a DQ at WrestleMania. And no, that's not what happened. Owens said, Rollins, don't do this. Don't walk away, you bitch. Why don't we turn it into a no DQ no countouts match, which he can apparently do. The bell rang again. Rollins kicked the shit out of Owens. He killed him with a chair. He killed him with a chair on the outside. Killed him with a knee on the inside. He brutalised him. He talked to him at the same time, telling him how his mouth gets him in trouble. And then Owens, out of nowhere, catches him with a ring bell, which I liked as a story spot because Rollins got himself DQ with a ring bell. Now it's Owens getting some comeuppance in by hitting Rollins with a ring bell. He hit him with a ring bell twice. Rollins is lying on table. Owens goes behind the WrestleMania sign, and the next we see of him, he's above it. So obviously the WrestleMania sign isn't all the way in the air. It's on the floor, basically, but it's still a good 15 feet in the air, I'd say. Owens jumps off the WrestleMania sign with a leaping elbow through Rollins, through the announce table. Rollins is dead. Owens is dead. Owens gets up. He rolls Rollins in the ring. Rollins says, "Kevin, I'm sorry, don't do this." And Kevin Owens kicks him in the stomach, gives him a stunner, and pins him. This match was really, really good in its entirety. But that segment in the middle, where it was broken up for no reason, they could have set this match as a no DQ match, and it probably would have even been better, because the story suggested it needed a stipulation, and another match on this card could have used a stipulation, to be honest, because there's only one stipulation match on tomorrow night's show, or tonight's show, considering it's 3:45, so it could have just call it a no DQ match. It's not rocket science. But that little bit in the middle, it really hurt, because I was so close to saying this match was great, because the big elbow drop through the table was a cool spot. It was nice to see Owens get comeuppance with a ring bell. Rollins was an absolute dick, and there's another thing I need to talk about as far as this feud goes in a second. But, yeah, I was going to call it great, but the bit in the middle really hurt it for me. The bit with the break. So I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I'm going to say it was very good. The whole segment, not the first match or the second match. The DQ in the middle really hurt it. I could have given it 3 3/4 if that DQ wasn't there. But 3.5 stars, still a pretty good match. And, it's good to see some pretty good matches on the show. One of the better things on the show. And before we move on to the next match, I do just want to talk about something. So, the feud was built around, or at least this last section was, about Owens never having a WrestleMania moment. And Rollins was like, I'm the god at WrestleMania. I'm 6-1. I've beaten Brock Lesnar. I've won the IC title. I've beaten Brock Lesnar. I've beaten Triple H. I've beaten everyone at WrestleMania. Your WrestleMania resume leads like this: failure after failure after failure after failure. And all I could think was Kevin Owens in 2017, and I said this to my friends, and it really pissed me off, and it stuck with me so much because of how dumb this part of the feud was. In 2017, Kevin Owens went into WrestleMania and beat Chris Jericho for the United States title, right? He beat the former AEW World Champion for the United States title. The other 2 times he's competed at WrestleMania the first time was a 7-man ladder match where he can't really lose, because nobody loses in a ladder match. There can only really be a winner. Obviously, everyone can't win, but you can't really you can lose your title, I suppose, which is kind of why he lost. And the other match he competed in at WrestleMania was a tag team matchup where his partner, Sami Zayn, submitted to Daniel Bryan. So I just thought to myself, is the only time he could have lost, been pinned or submitted, he won, and he beat the former AEW World Champion, which wouldn't have hurt the commentators to say, by the way, because if the commentators sit there and they go, well, this Rollins is a liar, because we know he's a liar, he's a heel, of course he's going to lie. Rollins is a liar. We don't want to say it's true. Don't say Kevin Owens has never had a WrestleMania moment. He won the US title. He won a championship at WrestleMania against a massive legend in the business. If the commentators had said, well, we know Rollins is lying because Owens beat Chris Jericho in 2017 at WrestleMania 33, that's all you had to say. And it doesn't give AEW any publicity, really. It gives you it, because you're saying that one of your guys has beaten the former AEW World Champion. Just the thing in the feud that pissed me off. I just wish the commentators had said something. it just really annoyed me. I need to move on. So match 7, the Universal title. So the main event would not be Goldberg. Bit of a shocker, actually. This one. It was Goldberg, the Universal Champion, Bill Goldberg, against Braun Strowman. Now, this was probably the worst match on the show. It wasn't particularly good, but it wasn't like the wrestling was bad. Like, the wrestling was just nothing. Like, there's not enough to really analyse. So, Goldberg hit a spear, he hit another spear, and he hit another spear, and he got a 2 count. Braun got up, he hit another spear, and he went for the jackhammer. Braun countered it. He hit a power slam, he hit a power slam, he hit a power slam, he then hit a running power slam. Braun Strowman wins the Universal Championship. Now, if this had happened like 3 years ago, people would have cared, but Braun Strowman is such damaged goods, and he's just, to me, he doesn't feel like a world champion. At least Goldberg, and at least even The Fiend, and at least Roman Reigns feel like world champions. Drew McIntyre, the way they've built him, if he wins the world title tonight, will feel like a world champion. Brock Lesnar is a world champion, and he has always felt like a world champion. Braun Strowman is such damaged goods through everything over the past 2 years. The fact he won a tag title with a child, the fact he got eliminated from the Royal Rumble in 1 minute, he's damaged goods, and the fact that he's been pushed into this match at the last second, he lost his last pay-per-view match, and he's just won the world title, is very odd. I guess there's no other option. Bill doesn't want to be there, I imagine, much longer, because, people don't like Bill, and it's not just people, it's fans, not people. Bill Goldberg is a fantastic ambassador for WWE. He is a fantastic ambassador for WWE, and he's not the best wrestler in the world, but he's a big star. He's a bigger star than anyone on the roster, not called Brock Lesnar or John Cena. He's a bigger star than Roman Reigns, and he's a bigger star than Becky Lynch, and he's certainly a bigger star than Braun Strowman. But regardless, I don't think the match, and this isn't me hating on Braun Strowman, it really isn't. I do like Braun Strowman. There's an aura of titan about Braun Strowman, you could say, almost. But just world champion Braun Strowman, it's just a bit too late in it. The match, nothing really happened, and it went less than 2 minutes. Oh, it went exactly 2 minutes, apparently. So, I can't really rate it, but I would say not good. I actually expected more. I thought, when Braun hit the 3 power slams, I was like, go for the pin, and then we can have quite a dramatic last minute where they both tease finisher, and then one of them hits it. But no, Braun just hit another power slam, and that was it. I can't rate it, but I don't think this was very good. And then the main event, it was the shocker. I think this was the match that people least look forward to on this show. Well, Elias and Corbin, but the Boneyard match. And people are in 2 mindsets about this. I should probably say this first, actually, not that people aren't interested in it. People are in 2 mindsets about it. Either you're interested in it because you want to see what they can do presentation-wise, because they can pre-record it and they can do all these different things, or you're like, this is going to be terrible, the feud has been terrible, and, Undertaker has beaten AJ Styles. He hasn't pinned him. Well, he has pinned him, actually. Pinned him at Super Showdown. He got the comeuppance on him at Elimination Chamber. He one-upped him there. So, why does this feud exist? It exists because AJ Styles has called Undertaker's wife a couple of names, and that is basically it. So, the actual match was basically the Undertaker version of Final Deletion in TNA. And it is, by far, to me, in my eyes, the best example WWE have done for this type of match. The match I compare it to more than Final Deletion is actually the tag team match from Slammiversary 15, which was Jeremy Borash and Joseph Park against Scott Steiner and Josh Matthews. That match to me is a lot more similar to this one. So a hearse pulls into the graveyard. We're not allowed to call it a graveyard, it's a boneyard. And out of the coffin in the back, druids come out, they open the coffin, and it's AJ Styles, it's not The Undertaker. There was I really liked the presentation of this match. I thought that I'll speak about presentation actually after this match, because I do want to talk about the show's overall presentation. But AJ comes out, and there's music playing in the background, and Undertaker's on his way, and the big evil music's playing, and this is all good. He's on his bike, and he gets there. And they do a bit of brawling, and most of the match was just brawling, and it is tough to rate that, but I'll get to my rating at the match's conclusion. But they do a bit of brawling. Taker throws AJ into the windshield of the hearse, which didn't look like a fun spot. But then AJ gets back into it, and he starts taking control of Undertaker. He gets like the shovel, he breaks it on, he hits AJ with it, and then the OC turn up, Gallows and Anderson, and this is where AJ gets his own back. So he hits Undertaker with a gravestone. Wild, mental. It gets more mental. He hits him with a gravestone. The OC kind of double team Undertaker for a little bit. Undertaker gets his own back finally, and he takes out both men. And the druids come out of the barn, and the druids are there, and you think they're going to help Undertaker, or you think they're going to be like Kane or something like that, and they're not. They surround Undertaker, and Undertaker's like, well, fucking come on then. So he fights them, and he fights them, and he fights them, and he tries really hard, and they overpower him, because they're so well. He fights them pretty well. And then AJ takes control again. And AJ, he destroys the Undertaker near this big grave which has been dug out for the Undertaker. And he gets a shovel. He says, I'm going to bury you, old man. And he cracks him over the back with a shovel, and the end breaks off, and the Undertaker falls in the grave. And AJ gets on the digger, and he gives this really comical villain laugh. And suddenly, the Undertaker is behind AJ Styles, and he looks at him, and AJ does this slow turn, and it's great wrestling theatre, wrestling pantomime is the word I called it. And he punches him, and he sends AJ packing. AJ climbs up this barn, essentially. I don't know why there's a barn, but there's a barn. Climbs up this barn, and he's on the roof, and he's like, how can you do this? I buried you. I destroyed you. How do you keep doing this? And Undertaker climbs up the ladder, just mocking AJ, just like, you wanted this, AJ. You wanted me to be like this. Why did you want me to be like this, AJ? And Undertaker's just smiling while he's doing it. This is the least Undertaker that Mark Calloway has ever been, and it was so amazing to watch. It was like it was an experience watching Mark Calloway be Mark Calloway and not be the Undertaker on screen. So weird. Gallows and Anderson are up there too. Undertaker chokeslams Gallows. He throws Gallows basically. He doesn't chokeslam. He just throws him off the roof. Just throws him off. He picks up Anderson. He gives him a tombstone pile driver on the roof, on this metal roof. He grabs AJ, who's trying to escape, and he's saying sorry and all this stuff. And Undertaker's asking him what his wife's called, and he's asking him how old he is. And Undertaker, Mark Calloway was. It's not even the Undertaker. Mark Calloway was so good here. Undertaker grabs him. He chokeslams him off the roof onto some like cement or sand or something to break AJ's fall, and he gets down and he asks him again, what's my wife's name, how old am I, all this sort of stuff. And he says, oh, we're not done yet, boy, we're not done by a long shot. So he takes him over to the grave, and AJ goes, please don't bury me, Undertaker. Undertaker's like, I'm not going to bury you. You put up a hell of a fight, son. You've put up such a fight. You've put up a better fight than I ever expected. Loads of people haven't given me a fight. You have. And he picks him up, and Undertaker goes to walk away, and he looks back at AJ, and he turns around, and he big boots him into the grave. And AJ's lying in the grave, and then Undertaker gets on the big digger with all the dirt, and he turns it on, he drops all the dirt into the grave, and then he pulls the weeds that have grown on the grave back, and it says AJ Styles 1977 to 2020. AJ Styles is dead as far as WWE canon goes. Undertaker gets back on his motorcycle, and the Big Evil theme plays again, and he drives away. This was fantastic. I adored this. I thought it was beautiful. As far as WrestleMania main events go, you know, it was better than last year's, and it wasn't even a match. This was better than last year's main event. It was better than the year before's main event. It was better than the year before's main event. It was better than the year before's main event. It was better than the last 5 years' main events. There you go. This was fantastic, just pro wrestling pantomime. It was nonsense. It was presented as nonsense, but it was also funny. Like, AJ got his comeuppance, but he had a chance to shine. AJ wasn't buried. He was literally buried, but not really buried, because nobody losing to The Undertaker can be buried. And Undertaker didn't pin AJ Styles or anything like that in his match. He just buried him. So, AJ Styles... There's this shot at the end of it as well, actually, where AJ's hand is just above the dirt. You can just see his phenomenal club, and it just made me laugh. This was funny in the same way that the Final Deletion and the Joseph Park, Jeremy Borash, Josh Matthews, Scott Steiner. It was wacky, it was funny, it was exactly what people need. Some humour in their life. In this time period, in this situation we are in right now, these circumstances, we need some humour and we need to laugh. And this was exactly it. I'm going to give this 4.25 stars. The wrestling was nothing. The presentation of it, the comedy of it, and the dark humour of it, because it was dark humour. It wasn't like slapstick comedy. It was dark humour. It was you know, him burying AJ and saying, "Oh, I'm going to let you live" and stuff. It was beautiful. And 4.25 stars. This was my favourite thing on the show, and I was so shocked when I finished the show, and I was like, I really loved that. 4.25 stars. That's how you end WrestleMania Part 1. Undertaker drives off on his motorbike. Oh, it was beautiful. But anyway, that's how you end WrestleMania Part 1. The one thing I do want to talk about before I get to a final grade for the show is presentation. So they did this really fantastic video package at the beginning, which was America the Beautiful. They couldn't have anyone sing it, so what they did is they basically did a crop shoot of everybody's performances throughout the 35 years of WrestleMania. That was Nicole Scherzinger's, that was Willie Nelson, that was Aretha Franklin, that was loads of other people. I can't name any, I'm so sorry. I can't remember, there's loads of people who have done America the Beautiful. You should really know more than that. I feel like Beyonce is probably going to do it at one point, but I digress. That was really nice, and then it went into this weird Pirates, Guardians, weird Egypt, Greek video package, which was total nonsense, and there was a fake Jack Sparrow that really killed the mood for me. It wasn't funny. It was attempting to be funny, unlike the main event, which was funny, and it was attempted to be funny, and it was funny. This wasn't funny at all. The presentation as well, then we had Stephanie, who said, in these circumstances, the WWE Superstars have tried to put together a show for you, so enjoy it. And that was nice. I just wish it wasn't Stephanie doing it. I actually wish it was a wrestler doing it, because Stephanie's there for that one thing, and it just defeated the point, really. But regardless, I thought the presentation of the show, they did a very good job in taking your attention away from whatever else is going on in the world, so respect to WWE for that. And my final grade for WWE, WrestleMania 26, my lord, I'm old, 36, Part 1, is I can't believe this. I can't believe this show is as good as, in my mind, a 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, I've seen a couple of different reviews already, even though it's 10 minutes after the show. A lot of them are 7s. I'm going to go 7.5, 7.5, just because of how much I loved the Boneyard match. Maybe it only tickled me, because it's going to be a very divisive match, just like the Final Deletion was, and just like the Joe Park match was. But I fucking loved it. I loved the ladder match. I thought those guys tried really hard. I liked Rollins and Owens a lot, and I liked the women's tag opener. Everything else in the show, the Strowman title, when some people will care for, the Daniel Bryan thing, I thought was a complete disaster as far as the finish went. And then the Baszler thing with Becky was just underwhelming. As I said, I thought it was a good match. I think I gave it 3 stars, but and then Elias Corbin was boring. So 7.5 out of 10. That's my review of WrestleMania Part 1. Come back tomorrow night and I should have a review for Part 2. Hopefully it's as good as this one, because this one really did a good job in entertaining me. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Rob Russell. Like, comment, subscribe for more. Tell me your thoughts. What did you think to WrestleMania 36 Part 1, which is what I'm going to call it. I'm not going to call it Night 1. What was your favourite match? For me, it was very clearly that Boneyard match. What do you want me to do as far as content? I've got loads of time spare, I suppose. I, of course, have my apprenticeship, which I'm doing at the minute. I'm doing my apprenticeship work at the same time as I'm in isolation. But yeah, if there's something you want me to do, let me know. Tell me about what your thoughts of WrestleMania. What was your favourite match? What did you think to the Boneyard match? Braun Strowman winning the title. What did you think to Owens and Rollins? What did you think to the ladder match? Did you think it was too crazy for no crowd? I guess that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. This has been Revolver Russell.